Okay, hello and welcome, and thanks for attending our afternoon session. We actually have two sessions, but first we're going to be talking about on energy security and smart grid and smart storage to bridge the quantitative capacity gap with qualitative solutions. And the following panel, we're going to focus more on renewables and but I mean, obviously, this first panel is going to be focusing on renewables as well. I have a great panel today. We have industry experts, and we're going to be discussing how important is energy storage in energy security, because there's an overcapacity of obviously energy from renewables, but at the same time, you have to be able to balance the grid and have energy security. I'm going to start with, well, I mean, actually, I'm going to start with Panagiotis Gramelis first, the Director of Research in CERTH, and then talk about more about the, how important it is we have an excess of renewable energy, but not enough storage capacity. So what's the role of energy storage and hydrogen storage?
Hello, everybody. I'm here it was Angelos Bekiaris, chairman of the board of directors of CERTH, to attend and participate in the panel, but unfortunately he could not meet this obligation, and I'm here in his place. I would like, first of all, to invite you in the booth of CERTH, that is outside, where we have 3 banners with our key projects about storage, energy storage. CERTH actually is not an industrial player, but it's a research center, but that we closely collaborate with industry, and we focus on the creation of jobs, on new technologies, and this is the main issue we are doing today, especially in the Central and Western Macedonia, where we have our main activities. So, key activity about energy storage. Everybody knows that renewable technologies have reached their milestone, which is expanding the installed capacity day by day, and we have more and more megawatts from renewables everywhere in Greece. But at the same time, we have the problem of curtailments. We have peak hours that are mainly during noontime or in the summer, and also in the windy times. We have the peaks in the electricity generation that cannot be absorbed by the grid. So from the renewables penetration, we have gone through the energy storage requirement. And in this case, we have, this is a big problem for the grid right now. And the main options we have is either to expand our grids or to incorporate energy storage technologies together with renewables. This is the only way that renewables can prevail in the market and reduce the cost. At the moment, we have not done much on storage. There are a few megawatts on batteries, and we have also the hydro pumping, which is mainly operated by PPC to manipulate the demand capacity. But at the time being, there are more focus on storage capacities in the energy directive for Greece, in the energy strategy. Batteries are actually doing the work during the day. So when you produce more electricity during the day, you can store it and give it to the grid during the night. So it's a few hours of movement in terms of storage. And then you have to proceed with other technologies that have a lot more long-term storage option. And this can be a hydrogen and hydropumping. In Greece, we have selected hydropumping as well, artificial hydropumping. But the problem with this type of project is the big installation cost. And so in CERTH, we try to develop technologies on hydrogen storage. Why this? Because first, it's more easily absorbed in the gas grid. You can inject it in the gas grid, and you have already the infrastructure there. And then second, you can use it in other sectors, not only power, but you can use it in the vehicles, in the transportation sector, and you can use it also in hard-to-abate sectors like petrochemical industry. I think my colleague Kostis from Water Oil will talk about their project, their big project of Hydrogen Valley in Corinth in South Greece. From our part, we try to develop the first technology park for hydrogen in northern Greece, in West Macedonia, in an old fertilizer park, where we are now installing 1 megawatt electrolyzer that will operate with its own photovoltaic park. And the hydrogen produced there, we will try to demonstrate in different storage technologies, but also in absorbing that in a hydrogen refueling station in order to demonstrate the vehicle's operation with hydrogen and try to involve an ecosystem. Just to say that it's not so easy. Not so easy, not that we are only a research center that has to do this job, but it's not easy also from a bureaucratic term, the project, because we have many delays in executing the project. So how we see it, we think that in the future, we are, about the Greek system at least, we should try to involve different technologies and apply different storage technologies in order to have the cost-efficient renewables in the system. One of the two main issues we have to solve first is availability and safety in the electricity grid, and second, the prices. So we have increased electricity prices at the moment, but if we can involve storage, energy storage at an affordable cost, then this will assist not only the enhancement of renewable share in the system, but also to reduce prices. Apart from our hydrogen park, we also develop electricity and electricity storage, which is mainly through charging stations. We are focused on inducive charging that we will talk about later, but also other technologies like smart grids and smart storage. And I invite you, everybody, in the booth of CERTH outside, where we have 3 banners of our 3 main projects in the sector.
Thanks so much, Panagiotis. The bringing down the prices is very important, of course, and energy storage as well. Alexandre Harito, he's the country manager for Smart Energies. And on that note, mostly, from what I understand, mostly focusing on solar energy. So the EU Commissioner actually recently said that a flexible grid powered by renewables doesn't need to be propped up by gas. How do you see that, how you can help do that, and, what role can solar play in balancing the grid and also bringing down prices?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank the organizer of this event, the French Embassy, the Institut Français, and the Chamber of Commerce, the French Hellenic Chamber of Commerce, for the invitation and for the organization of this event. Smart Energies is a French IPP. We actually are a power producer, 100% renewable, present in Greece, France, and Italy, with projects also in the Nordics. And we have experience in, let's say, small projects, flexible projects, and also right now storage. Your question is very good, because actually the energy sector is in a huge revolution for the last 10 to 20 years. We have seen that penetration of renewable, especially PV, is huge. Greece already achieved the 2040s targets that they have. And we are, as I see it, in the middle of the transition, meaning we have reached quite a high level of penetration. We have the issues related to that. And the biggest challenge right now is to know how we're going to achieve the other 50%. Meaning, first of all, what is our vision? The vision is we should have 100% renewable, clean, cheap energy electricity energy in our energy mix. How we're gonna achieve it? And this is where we stand. First of all, we need the vision. The vision is where we want to go, when we're gonna want to go. Right now, as I see in the market, we have the financing is here, the technology is here, the manpower is here. Most of it, we could be ready even in Greece from 4 to 5 years from now to go 100%. What do we need? We need the application, and this is the biggest issue that we have today in Greece, meaning, first of all, we have seen we need storage. Storage is the big issue, which what we discussed. We have overproduction of PV during the day. Right now, my PV stations are not working because we have zero negative prices, meaning we are the only maybe industry in the world that we are selling products or services, in this case, for a price which is below the LCOE, below the cost. And even right now, I'm paying for the electricity that I'm producing, which is a big issue. And this is another item that needs to be arranged in the transition that we are right now. What is the main issue is that, yeah, we have overproduction, even if sometimes not 100%, meaning that even when we have overproduction of PV, we have still fire power plant, which are injecting electricity in the grid. How are we going to save this electricity? Because on the other hand, we do not have enough green electricity in the evening. So as you can see, the issue is just store this electricity, give it in the evening. What do you need? Storage. Technology is here. We discussed there is batteries, of course. Batteries price are going down. Actually, we have, even right now, PV plus storage is even cheaper than most of the electricity coming from gas-fired power plant. And I'm not speaking about other kind of technologies. So what do we need? We need to move on. And this is the biggest issue right now. We need to receive grid connection terms for storage projects. We need to have a regulation which is adapt for storage project. And we need to move on quickly. Unfortunately, the ministry is not here today, but we, as you may know, we actually had last year a priority scheme for storage project. Today, almost 1 year after the priority scheme, we are still waiting project to be selected. So priority is not so much a priority, it seems, to move on and give connection terms. This is the main issue. Let's move on, connection terms, let's move on with the storage project. And the other hand is, yeah, we need additional PV project, additional renewable project. But I believe that the planning of this installation of additional project need to be conditioned to the installation of storage, which is the biggest issue. We see that even today we have this year, if I remember the data, almost like last year, we are planning to have 2 gigs of additional PV installation in Greece, while we still do not have storage. We have overproduction, we are adding PV, so adding overproduction to the overproduction, and at the same time we do not have storage. So yes, we could, I completely agree. I believe that the gas-fired power plant, to respond to this question, could only be used as, let's say, reserve for some extreme, let's say, needs of the system. And easily, if we all go in the same direction and we are moving fast and with organization, I think we could achieve a 100% storage, PV, renewable plus storage energy mix to achieve the targets that we have.
Yeah. As you mentioned, it's a high penetration of renewables, but it's very important to have storage and regulation. And on that note, Ioannis Tzortzis, he's the regulatory authority for energy and waste and water. He's a member of the board of directors. So, I mean, RI obviously plays a key role on that. For many years, we have known the regulatory authority mainly through its role in renewable energy sources, as well in the regulation of the electricity and natural gas markets. Today, however, we see its mandate expanding into the waste sector. Ioannis, could you describe the institutional operating model of this new authority?
Yeah, thank you very much, of course. That's a great opportunity for the authority to come to close to the citizens, because that's what we're there for. Actually, I would like to thank the Institute of France and the Embassy for giving us this opportunity, and also the Chamber, the French Chamber of Commerce. Here, what we have is that since 2002, a new authority was established. I was just solely on energy matters. I had the luck, because I consider this a big luck to be there right from the start. And that developed because at the beginning it was just a body that was like advisory board to the government. But along the way, like the colleagues here know, we came to get decisive authorities on actually granting licenses and also playing a very crucial part in all the framework like was developed. Bearing in mind that when we came in existence, the PPC, the DE was there, and many people were asking me personally, being a lawyer, coming from the Athens Law School and then England, what are you doing there? I mean, you have a monopoly, you have a very strong monopoly, and what's the role of a regulator? I mean, is there any sense in trying to get the market working? And actually, it was very hard at the beginning, but actually, we're in a way lucky because that was a priority in Europe, and the way that we came into existence was because Greece had to accomplish some special targets and incorporate a European regulation, European laws into Greek legal system. We had directives. That was Directive 96/92 and directives 2003/54 and 2003/55. That sounds like history, but it's not that long ago. I mean, it was an obligation of Greece, of the Hellenic Republic, to be a part of the European energy market like it was developing, a single market. It was a single market, and you had to follow rules, and it wasn't easy. And this history, I mean, there was a lot of hurdles on the way, but we managed to get over them. And we arrived at 2023 when you had a new law. That was a model that in Greece only, or very few countries in Europe, was adopted to actually have one single authority for energy, water, and waste. That was the idea behind it, to have the best public authority to get the hands on the circular economy. Because you cannot talk about energy without waste, you cannot talk about water without energy. I mean, these are very strongly intertwined along together, and it was something that it came across, and I think that as an authority, we have to answer if you bring it in your mind, in the people's, the citizens' everyday life. What I mean, the moment that a human wakes up, at the moment that goes to bed, has to deal with energy, with waste, with water. This is so close to his or her existence. So, saying this, we know very well, everybody who is close to how the system works here in Greece, that is very bureaucratic. We have many laws. This I would call it an illness of a Greek legal system. You have so many laws that they've never been implemented properly. So you can imagine the regulator being somewhere in between. You have the state, you have the private sector, and the regulator has to somehow create something out of nothing. So this is what we tried to do all these years, and I think we did quite well. We were based on principles like better regulation. All the regulations that we actually proposed to the Greek government had a lot of public consultation. That was one of the key elements of the way that we've been working. And it hasn't been easy because we lack human resources. It wasn't like an easy go, but we've been trying a lot. And actually coming to the new era now since 2023, we try to incorporate in our plan very close cooperation with municipalities. This is very important, and you know that the whole system of the waste management in Greece is based on regions, and they have these regional authorities that embodies management, solid waste management bodies, that they've been monitored by the regulator, and they have to meet some very strict criteria in order to be able to be certified. So we try to build what we call an ideal type of this management body, because the way it's been until today, it's been very, vague, with no rules. We try to put rules in play and rules that can be implemented, and that was the only way that those bodies could be getting finances, especially finances from the European Union. So we play a very crucial role to be able to safeguard this. So you cannot do anything anywhere if you don't get the right actors to do it. And we try to create these competent actors to be able to reach conclusions and the results that they can be accepted by the European Union, because apart from anything else, we have European Union that puts the rules and regulations there, and we just need to and have to abide by them. And one very crucial point I want to make is that in the Greek and the European legal system, you have this very important principle that goes through all laws and regulations. That's the pay polluters principle, which in other words means that whoever pollutes has to pay. So this works as motivation for businesses and acts that are not polluting, so they don't have any extra costs in their production. And that's a very good example of that. And I think that Greece has played a protagonistic role in that, is the delignification process, in which we had a very dirty industry, and it was there for many years. It was creating a lot of jobs and a lot of richness to Greek economy, but from a point onwards, it could not be sustainable because it was very expensive. So he had to move on to a different phase, the delignification phase, using clean energy, using ways that wouldn't be making so bad economic sense, because economy is at the bottom of it, and that's the only way to create sustainable industries.
It seems like the new technologies play a very key role in this, and in that respect, I want to welcome Vassilis Nikolopoulos, who's the Chief Technology Officer, a co-founder of Avokado AI, which is supported, I understand, from Medland as well.
Yep.
And you're a startup. So I'm going to pick your brain about the AI strategy in terms of in energy, and we talked a little bit about storage. So you can, I think AI can, it's everywhere, but they can play a key role in energy as well.
Yeah, AI is everything and everywhere actually, but we have to focus on real impact, okay, and real return on investment, because that's a huge discussion right now in many firms and companies worldwide. If an investment in AI will bring your money back, that's a big discussion. It's out of scope, of course, for today, but it's something that rises every day now. So for my part, first of all, I want to address a big thanks to Institut and Mathieu, okay, for the invitation. I had to fly today for Munich for Intersolar, so I will fly tomorrow, and I changed my flight tickets just to be here, okay, to the panel. So thanks a lot for that. So what we do, what is Avokado? Avokado, it's a great success story, or it's a great best practice, for instance, on how a big industrial companies like Medline can innovate. So actually, what you do, you spin out a startup, you spin out technology, and you leave it run like hell, okay? And then as soon as it develops technology, you go and you cross-sell either the platforms, the products, and at the same time, you're reusing that internally into the company so that to boost your internal AI strategy. So this is what it is, Avokado. We are a hardcore algorithmic company, so we build algorithms, we build models, and we build technology for the what we call flexibility market. So our core objective, it is to create algorithms, which is the core basics of AI, and then to develop AI systems in order to enable many business models on top of the prosumer model. And of course, storage, it is one of the most important, let's say, factors of a prosumer. Well, a battery, we all know what a battery is, okay? However, a battery on its own, it's a battery, it's nothing. A battery, when it takes, let's say, place into a system, like an electricity system or an energy system, then it creates value. This is what we call systemic innovation. Okay, systemic innovation is when you combine a solution, and the battery, when it's part of a system, creates an additional value. And this is what the battery does, the storage in general does, as it did, 30, 40 years ago when we created RAM technology for computers, okay? So this is the storage, what it became with the smart grids, inside smart energy grids. However, the battery, when being static, okay, it creates, of course, a nominal value. However, what we have found out, it is that the prosumer has many assets that are variant in time. For instance, we have a smart meter. So you measure electricity, kilowatt hours, in the dimension of time. You have a storage device that can store energy, discharge or charge it, depending on the value of the system, depending on the price of the energy, or depending on the time, okay, or the need of a flexibility event into the system. You have an electrical vehicle, which is, in other words, a moving battery into the smart city. So you can plug it in, plug it out, okay, depending on the time, depending on the incentive that you may receive in a specific time slot. And of course, you have a rooftop solar that generates green energy that can be supplied anytime, okay, anytime, of course, during the day, can be supplied either to your EV vehicle directly or to your in-house demand in order to cover the electricity demand of your house, or you can actually store it into your storage device. So we see that a prosumer, which is the business model of the future, has many assets that are variant, and of course they create value. How? By combining and correlating all the assets among them. But the prosumer cannot do that because we would like to take the human, let's say, the human variable outside of the equation, because you cannot go or being in front of a smart app and push buttons, charge now, discharge now, charge my vehicle, okay, what is the price right now? So we need a smart instance to do that instead of us. And this is where AI jumps in. Okay, so artificial intelligence or complex algorithmics go and simplify a very complex business model on top of the prosumer model in order to generate value, revenue for both the prosumer as a client, as a customer, and for a utility, either an aggregator, okay, or a utility that sells energy at the same time. So we see that artificial intelligence delivers real value in the smart energy system by combining and by managing automatically or semi-automatically, because we all say that in artificial intelligence, we always have to have the human in the loop, definitely. So we begin from what we call the advisory AI, so a recommender, recommending actions for the prosumer, okay, charge now because you will charge in a very low price, for instance, and then you will sell it back into the grid based on the day-ahead price, and you will earn money. This is the classical arbitrage business model, or the net billing business model, or the net zero feed-in business model. So we see that there are various business models deployed on top of a prosumer house, okay, And Avokado goes there, delivers the technology to support them to increase the value and to generate both revenue for the end user and the utility, the one actually that offers that service. So this is pretty much what we do. For my part, we see, of course, storage, which is the future for me, definitely. We're just scratching the surface right now, especially how we can, let's say, manage dynamically the storage into the flexibility grid. There are other countries right now that are far ahead, for instance, the UK or the Nordics. There are countries that have already developed the appropriate regulatory framework so that all this could be true. Okay, in Greece, we need to work harder towards that direction, definitely. Still, the net billing has some issues, for instance, okay, in order to be deployed from, not from home consumers, the value is not huge for them, but for B2B companies, for big commercial companies, the net billing framework, it actually can deliver great value to them. So a part of that, as I mentioned before, we deploy technologies and we use generative AI, for instance. We have deployed an assistant that can go analyze based on algorithms, can answer strategic questions. For instance, if I install, let's say, 20 batteries in this kind of 20 buildings, when do I get my money back? Okay, so generative AI, by using agentic and all these algorithms that we have, demand prediction, weather prediction, solar PV prediction and generation, optimization and mathematics, we can identify and we can execute case-if scenarios and P&Ls in order to be sure and to reduce the risk of storage-related investments. And then as soon as we do that, we generate the scheduling, and then we can execute it by technology, so by sending commands to the battery, charge, discharge, and optimize it in terms on the flexibility market. So this is pretty much what we do.
Yeah, and it seems like with AI can definitely play a key role in energy storage, but also it can be profitable as well and have a return on investment. Now that we have heard initially from all our four speakers, and we got an idea about CERTH, about smart energies, about the R&I, and as well about Avokado AI. We're going to move into the discussion more and talk about how research and innovation can help solve today's energy challenges. Feel free to I'll post questions, but feel free to jump in if you have something to contribute on the same topic. And, we don't have to go in an order, but we can just have a more vivid discussion. But we heard about the role of technology. A key issue is charging time. We have heard about inductive charging corridors, that's correct? Like this is a way to have kind of wireless charging. I think this is going to be also a very key issue in terms of
actually, in order to
reduce the waiting time.
Is the waiting time and also infrastructure. How you reduce infrastructure, and I'm going to say something on that, and then I will try to connect because there are some common issues.
Right. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what I want to say is that yes, I think. As I have a colleague of mine, Thanasis here, who is an expert on that. But you can see that we are trying to introduce the inductive charging in our life in terms of wireless charging and reducing time, so that a vehicle can charge the batteries on move. So while the vehicle is moving, it can charge as well. And in this sense, we have initiated an idea of such a project in Western Macedonia, as we did with the Hydrogen Hub. We are trying to have the inductive charger corridor, in which we are going to have 1 kilometer road on which the electric vehicles can charge or move. The idea is that first, of course, you reduce time, but at the same time, you reduce infrastructure cost, which is quite crucial. Now, connecting to the previous speech here, I want to say that how effective work is being done by R&I is that CERTH, for the new project on hydrogen, we issued a permit for hydrogen production. So there is a new legislation, and everybody that has to produce hydrogen, you must have a permit, and it was very effective with R&I. We had a very direct contact, and we feel very confident that the operation is being improved. And also for us, it was very easy to assess R&I and issue this hydrogen production permit. So it's not only energy, not wastewater, but more or less everything that needs to be licensed in a way. Now, concerning the curtailments, the cuts, the forecast, this is quite tricky situation. We have also, I completely agree with what Avokado said, and what the spin-out company has done, and this is an excellent example from the industry, because most of the times we try to do the other way around. We try to convince industrial players in Greece to invest in novelty and innovation, which is not so easy work. And just to if I can say something complimentary, we have also sustainability issues, because okay, AI is everything, but it cannot be realistic as far as you don't have the correct data and dynamic modeling. In this sense, there is also my colleague, Dr. Nikolopoulos, who is an excellent researcher. He's in the room right now. We did a similar project. We advertise outside. It's about Response, a smart city project, where we developed different tools in order not only to model the energy systems, but also to predict, which is quite hard. And you must have at least common rules and constant rules. For example, you cannot make an investment for a PV and then pay for the excess energy that was not known in front. So you must provide feedback, especially to the regulatory authorities, in order to adapt the situation and then try to assist the investors. For example, the PV investors, the small scale, they are in a very hard situation right now, because they lose a lot of money, which means they have to prolong the duration of their investment, and that's quite hard. Now, as concerns the charging, I told you we try to do this wireless charging. There are fast charging methods, like we have this 400 kilowatt DC, which is the most efficient at the moment, and the most fast charging method. We have different storage methods, B2G and G2V, to store in vehicle and then give it back to the grid. We investigate them in different projects, and mostly Horizon Europe projects, in which CERTH is well known. But at the same time, we try to develop our tools, the modeling tools for the energy systems, the forecasting, the demand size. We have also energy communities, which is a tool that will become more and more in our life in the future years. And I would like to provoke you, having a discussion with our colleagues, so that we can cooperate. We believe in AI, but you have to have human rights. I mean, you must adapt to the real conditions. And the problem is that sometimes it's not so easy, because, for example, these curtailments and how you can exploit them, it was not forecasted from the beginning.
Alexandre, I mean, obviously you can comment on what you just heard also about, and also how research and innovation can help the energy transition, and how we can balance energy transition and decarbonization with balancing the grid, because renewables and energy storage in Greece are playing an increasing role, but in grid stability. But I think that we still have kind of ways to go, I think, on that one.
Yeah, exactly. To answer to your question, and after I will also reply to the other subject that we have. Of course, as we can see, and we are completely understand that as renewable producer, we need to answer to the needs of the grid. Meaning we are not just here to produce and, let's say, to let a park producing and go somewhere else. We need to adapt our production to the needs of the grid, meaning we need to be flexible, be a flexible tool of production, which is something that we are working on. We have installed successfully in our geographies controllers which enable us to directly control the parks, provide schedules, so meaning opening, closing the park whenever it's required, reducing the production to answer the needs of the grid, through also the market, because actually the main tool is the market, which is balancing the production and the consumption, and everything's happening there. So as a PV producer, I think it's, yes, part of our job to adapt ourselves and our assets to the needs of the grid, and also to be able to capture some extra revenues, because as we can see, the issues of zero or negative prices, because we switched from a physical curtailment, which was done until last year, to an economical curtailment. So right now we are stopping ourselves, because otherwise we're producing for zero or negative negative prices. The issue is here, meaning in terms of BP financing, we are speaking right now, and for the last 2 months, of minus 40% of the revenues, and even higher. It's a huge issue for small producers, even the biggest one. I think that even in Methlen, you had discussed about these issues, and this is a big issue also of how the market is organized, which is meaning we see that there is some imbalances in the market. Of course, yes, there's more production than consumption, but this doesn't mean that we need to have zero or negative prices. I mean, we can have a way to reduce our production, to have less revenues, but on the other hand, adapt the production to the consumption without making all the renewable, because this is mainly the renewable losers of the situation right now, telling them that we do not need your production, but your investment in renewable is useless. And at the same time, I remind you that we are the cheapest energy right now. And if we want to reduce the price, which is the target for all the authorities, we need to invest and find a way that at least we're paid for the electricity that we are producing. And this is a big issue, and a big issue which needs to be solved by all the regulators. So, of course, I completely understand that RAE has a huge job to do. I'm not even speaking about the water and the waste, only in the energy sector and only the electricity sector, because something needs to be done also with the energy exchange. We need to rethink a little bit how the electricity sector is working right now, how we want to progress in the next 5 years, meaning how we can push storage, keeping the renewable installation of new renewable also in the pipeline, and on the same time answer to the needs of the consumer. And maybe AI at RAE will be a solution to maybe go faster on the regulatory aspect, which is a big issue, as I can understand. And also, we all know that RAE is doing its best. RAE had some also independence issue, let's say, on the last 15 years. And it's not easy, not only in Greece, other countries have issue to understand the concept of independent body and to make you do your job. So yes, of course, I think we need all to work together, meaning the producer, the consumer, the energy the solution providers, to understand what are the issue and moving on. The biggest issue is moving on, and everybody is trying his best to do in this current situation, but I think we need to planify and progress, and this is the main let's say silver lining in the energy sector.
Yeah, and you mostly talk about solar, but in solar in Greece I think it's mostly parks, right? But in France you have more in rooftops solar, I think.
Yeah, we have rooftop solars. Let's say France has more or less also being the situation that we have in Greece is almost in all countries different solution. Northern Europe is the excess of wind. In France it's also we have also PV and wind, and the same issue about the conventional, let's say, electricity production. I mean, gas for Greece, nuclear for France, meaning what is the space between the two, the conventional and the renewable, and the problem of renewable not be paid is huge in all Europe. It's not only Greece or France.
Yeah, we're going to talk mostly about France in the next panel because we have EDF with us. So, Ioannis, I mean, everybody's mentioning you because you're a key regulator. So, I mean, you have a huge role in the electricity sector, and how you can push storage forward. But maybe you can talk about us a little bit more about waste to energy too, because you mentioned that a little earlier.
Yeah, actually, the idea is that when you have a grown-up market, a mature market, the regulator shouldn't play a key role, because the market should work by itself. But every day you realize that you need to come to terms to actually face problems and find solutions, and that's not always easy. Of course, what has been said earlier, you need to secure a very safe and long-lasting legal framework that will create the environment that new investments will come and stay, because that's the idea. But of course, we should never lose contact with the big picture. That is what we all know, that you have the consumers, like citizens, you have the market, you have the companies, but you have to come to terms with your role as a regulator, which is, like I said, to coordinate all these different players. And I believe that being a regulatory authority for waste, water, and energy will give us this essence in our role, and actually come to terms with all those different issues. And I have to mention that we're in very good timing now, because is the EU Circular Economy Act that it's in the making. We have the proposal. Actually, RAI was pushing forward with the public consultation. We did organize a public consultation just for Greece, alongside other European countries. We had to get the market, the consumers, all the key players, the management of waste bodies, all there. So we have a comprehensive proposal to make to the European Union and to all the competent authorities there. So as not Greece, but as a union, European Union, we try to create a new market of secondary material, and actually to double the size of the use of secondary material by 2030 by 24%. I would see, talking about storage, I would see the residue of waste as a way to produce energy as well. So it's a material that has energy and needs to be liberated. So I can see that a creation of a new market regarding the waste, and not talking about waste, but like a new source. When we started with renewables back in 2002, nobody really believed in the power of renewables, like you just mentioned, that it has this dynamic. And now we're talking about a new market, new sources, because we live the times that we need to find ways not to come to a situation that everybody is talking about of, reaching a state that you stop development, because you cannot really do that. There is theories about this idea of stopping use electricity, stopping use energy. But the first president of Regulatory Authority of Energy was saying, Pantelis Kapros, was saying that you can somehow manage to survive in a dirty, polluted environment, but you cannot survive even 1 minute without energy. So that's a very important role that you have to play. And actually, being a regulator, I realized by this discussion, this evening, that everybody's expecting things from the regulator. But you have to have a very strong, competent, integrated, and comprehensive regulator to come to fulfill his role. So we definitely need the trust from the consumers of the market, because trust is the base of everything. And I can assure you that we work very hard on that. And actually, the show to the regulator that is a competent authority that can actually come to terms with this expectation is that there was a new law just passed in May 2026, the law 5299, that gave the regulator more competencies on actually checking the cost efficiency of all the relevant bodies and actually giving the green light for all those bodies to get finances from the European Union. So it's a vote of confidence to the role that the Greek Regulatory Authority has to play on not only putting rules and not only checking whether these rules are being obeyed, but checking the finance as well of all those bodies. So I think it's important that we need to work together in a very comprehensive manner, and actually we open to get all the advices and all the proposals from all the players, both consumers, citizens, and markets, companies.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what you just mentioned about that the role should be less within really in a market where economies, where the market is really working. But I mean, it will take some steps to get there. Vassilis, you mentioned you had to. I mean, I know that this conference is actually coinciding with the conference in Berlin. I mean, no, sorry, in Munich.
Munich,
right? Munich, yeah. With Ultrasolar. So you kind of experienced the latest in all the technologies there as well, and so in this case, I mean, what do you think is? I mean, you mentioned a little bit about the role of the AI earlier, but in terms of like accelerating energy transition.
No, from the technology perspective, and I might say another motto, another saying about energy, it's energy can actually destroy governments. So it's actually the same thing that Professor Kapros mentioned before. So in other words, anyway, from the technology perspective, what we see and what we are currently working is that AI in general intelligence will be integrated and deployed on the edge. This is something that is being accelerated. And why is that? Especially in the energy market, we have a lot of hardware in general. We have EV charging stations, we have smart meters, we have electrical vehicles, we have inverters, in solar parks. So we see that the majority of these devices are rather dumb, especially inverter. An inverter is a very dumb hardware device, So what we do right now, we go and we deploy all our models because we trained a lot of models because we have tons of data from my mother company. So when you have data, you have good models. So we train the models and then of course we retrain them from scratch, but we have the foundation ready because based on the EU AI Act, so we have to, identify the model and then retrain it to every customer. So we have to be very much compliant with the EU AI Act and cybersecurity issues. But having the foundation ready, what we are working right now, we're working on integrating that on the edge, meaning that imagine a smart meter that actually can locally create forecasting, instead of sending back the data into the cloud, and then the cloud goes back and sends back the forecasting. This is a cybersecurity issue that is being solved, and of course pricing, and of course costs, because you cut off costs of the cloud consumption. Cloud in general, Gen AI in general, everything you do on the cloud, it's very expensive right now. There are three giants, and they are monopoly. So either you go to Google or to Microsoft or to Amazon, pricing is roughly the same. So when you deploy something on the edge, you reduce cost. That's number one. The second thing, it is that you isolate the system. So from the cybersecurity perspective, you are more efficient and more secured. So imagine that we're going to have smart meters running forecasting locally, either PV forecasting or demand forecasting. Imagine EVs, electric vehicles, having algorithms negotiating with the grid for flexibility issues. Imagine inverters with advanced intelligence. So an inverter can actually go and play the battery into the flexibility grid in real time. So you can imagine many things running on the edge, and this is what we see right now, and this is what the feedback we have from the States and from advanced European countries that are like Netherlands or Nordics or UK, advanced countries that have advanced technology into the smart grid and isolated grids. So we see, and what we do right now in Avokado is going and deploying everything on the edge. So either having smart PCs, smart gateways, doing flexibility on site, or solving difficult optimization questions on site, whether you will play your battery into the grid when, or it's going to be AFRR, or it's going to be net billing, or a combination of various business models, okay, right now can be optimized. This is a mathematical optimization, and that can be executed on the edge, okay, or deploy a neural network on the edge. So we see a lot of effort right now trying to put the intelligence on the edge, and this is not only in energy. This is general. I mean, in 2, 3, 4 years tops, you're gonna have your local LLM on your small smartphone. So everybody will have its own LLM deployed on himself. So we see AI being deployed on the edge, and AI will become distributed. That's the core future technology trend that we see right now.
Obviously, the discussion is not going to end here because we're going to have the next panel also talking more about innovation. But in the last remaining minutes, what I wanted quickly from every one of you, just if there was one key takeaway from our session here in terms of the key point for energy transition and the role of innovation, or anything else you've heard from the other speakers, we can go through and then before moving to the next panel.
Yeah, I think the key message is clear that the innovation is needed. Technology goes along with the industrial side. Vassilis said it very explicitly, very well. I would add to his effort about AI the word sustainability. You have to take also into account that it has to be produced in a clever way, but also in a sustainable way. And tools can be integrated in such way. So the main message is that as far as we can keep awake the audience after such a good lunch, is that we have to say that integrated renewables in the system is the key issue. Cost efficient is the key issue. Legislation is very crucial, and the way we are here today and reducing costs is due to the different directives. For example, we have the RED directive, the directive for the energy performance of the buildings, the Fit for 55, the Green Deal. So there are a lot of directives adopted in the country and led us to this result to reduce costs of renewables. But at the same time, we must produce in a smart way, and that has to be done in an innovative way and at a sustainable way.
Alexandre, go.
Yeah, the question is, we need to match everything. We need to match our targets with the technology, with the needs, and a correct design of the market. And this needs to be done quickly, which is the main issue, because what we are losing, first of all, has Greece opportunities. Just giving an example, we have already gigawatts of battery in Bulgaria, which started a very few years ago, while we are discussing for 3-4 years already in Greece storage, and we still have few, even hundreds megawatt in operation. So we need to go fast. We need to speak, to understand the issues of every actors in the market. The position should be discussion and find productive solutions, which is sometimes the issue in order to move on. And since from big to small companies, we all have our part of the pie in the energy market, and we all here to bring something to the energy transition and to and bringing our target, which is cheap and green electricity for everybody. So that's it. Be aligned and be quick.
Right. I think you've just been talking about the most important commodity in the whole history of humanity, that's time. Okay, I have to say that since we were actually established as an authority, as a regulatory authority since back 2002, we did have to struggle with time. And since we all know that the Greek legal system suffers from log delays, from all this situation that nothing is clear, we try to put clear rules and to create this stable and safe framework. But of course, talking about the Regulatory Authority for Energy, Waste and Water, again, is the question of time to be able to meet all those expectations that's been raised here. And of course, it's going to be very helpful for us also to utilize measures and tools from the AI, talking about KPIs, talking about all this way that we need to actually evaluate all those players, and we've been talking about the energy market that has been under development since 2002, at least in Greece. Now we have a new market, like I said, that the circular economy new market that we have to put in place. And of course, you know, this saying that the big fish, it's been eaten, I mean, the small fish is being eaten by the big fish, but we say that both fish are being eaten by the fastest one. So we need to be fast, we need to be very, very focused on what we need to do. And of course, we need to do that with full cooperation with all the players. Without cooperation, without trust, there's nothing to be achieved. We put a very protagonistic and first role in that trust we need to build. And that's why we're here today.
Vassilis, AI is fast. So.
Yeah, always, yeah, increase productivity. No, from my point of view, technology is there, always was there. Technology is an enabler. Okay, so what we have to do is to work faster, more efficient on the adoption. I mean, right now, AI, it's out there. The problem of the Greek entrepreneurs or the Greek firms in general is how to adopt AI inside the company, inside the organization, to create a quick win and a value that is measurable and quantifiable. Yeah. This is the same for the energy. So technology is out there, adopt it fast, of course, efficient, and create quick wins with value for the energy market. Of course, regulation, it's another point of that we have to tackle pretty much smart, but technology is out there. Let's work on efficient ways of adopting technology into the energy business models and utilities and aggregators and energy companies in general.
Thank you so much. I want to thank my panelists. Please stay for a group photo, and then we're going to welcome the next panel and we'll continue this discussion.